Home appraisal can make or break any refinancing or sale, but 5 Investigates is uncovering a troubling trend that's costing some homeowners big money.
And it has nothing to do with their houses. Our Mike Beaudet reveals the claims of discrimination and why some say it's only part of the problem.
I think that appraiser was surprised to see me as the owner.
Philomena Asante couldn't believe it when she saw the appraisal on her home by the ocean in Nahant, a home she had purchased a year and a half earlier. She's a pediatrician who was trying to refinance to get a better interest rate.
Then I get the appraisal report, and the house I purchased for $373. And the appraisal report was a $350 assessment, so less than what it was worth when I bought it.
She says the lender was surprised too.
There was nothing about the property that would say that the value had gone down.
But the lender told her there was nothing they could do about it. Asante couldn't get the loan.
I lost a refinancing deal that could have saved me thousands per year.
When you got that appraisal,
Yeah.
and you saw the number,
Yeah.
what did you think?
This isn't right. This is discrimination.
If you were a white woman, do you think that appraisal would have come in higher?
I absolutely do.
Asante filed a complaint with the Board of Registration of Real Estate Appraisers, writing, his decision not to appraise higher, even at the original $373K given market conditions, is based on racism because I am a black woman owner in Nahant. Records we obtained from the state board show it's referred 4 appraisal discrimination complaints for prosecution in the last 5 years, including Asante's. Complaints that resulted in disciplinary action ranging from a revoked license to fines. The board found Asante's appraiser failed to perform an adequate market analysis. It fined him $500 and ordered him to complete a 15-hour course.
Slap on the wrist.
I can't say for sure that there was or was not discrimination involved.
Steve Sousa is executive vice president of the MBREA, the state's professional organization for appraisers. He says appraisal discrimination has become a national concern, and he supports new rules that will require additional training for appraisers and make it easier for people to challenge an appraisal.
I've met many of the appraisers in Massachusetts. They're good people. Are there some bad apples? Certainly.
Sousa worries appraisers are being unfairly targeted.
You keep being told that you're biased and racist and you're always discriminating. And to have an entire profession painted with the same brush is just not appropriate.
I get that all the time, where people love to distance themselves and turn this into an over their issue.
Jillian White is CEO of Appraisal Insights, which is focused on educating people about appraisal bias.
These cases are absolutely underreported.
An appraiser herself, she had to whitewash her family's home, removing all indications that they're black in order to facilitate the sale.
Yeah, whitewashing is not a solution.
Why do you think this type of discrimination is continuing to happen?
For me, it's not so much a continuation as much as it never stopped. Race was a way that appraisers were taught in their texts to assign value. So bias is built into the appraisal process.
Asante says she's glad she reported the appraiser to the state and encourages others who encounter questionable appraisals to do the same.
It might not change the outcome for you, but it could in the future change the outcome for somebody else.
In a statement, the commissioner of the Division of Occupational Licensure tells 5 Investigates the board has been actively discussing anti-discrimination initiatives recommended by federal appraiser regulatory bodies and is now drafting updates to Massachusetts regulations that incorporate federal anti-bias training requirements and standards of practice. Asante only learned about the discipline against her appraiser when we told her about it. The board admitted it never informed her of the decision, but tells us it's now prioritizing communication with people who file complaints. Mike Beaudet, 5 Investigates.